Well, hello and welcome back. We're going to talk about fear again today. Isn't that exciting? I know. Fear. Understanding it. So important. It's so important to understand it, isn't it? That's why we're spending time on this particular passage in the text of A Course in Miracles, Chapter 2, Part 6, Fear and Conflict. Today, paragraph 5. There's enough here for a significant discussion. So, as we delve into it, let's come back to the importance of understanding this material. Yes, it's important to understand the way the thought system of this course operates, the metaphysics of it. Yes, it's important to have some understanding of this. However, it is not anywhere near as important as doing this. In fact, if you don't understand this, that's all right. I invite you to do it anyway, to put these ideas into practice, to forgive the Son of God. If you commit to that and you actually do it, you may find that the understanding comes. It simply happens. You'll have one of those experiences that we have in life where all of a sudden one day you just get it. Who said you had to get it intellectually first? So that's not really where the action is. The action's in doing it. However, let's talk about the ideas here in A Course in Miracles, because the more that we understand them, the more powerful we realize they are. They're powerful. And, well, it's my hope that the more inspired you will be to practice. Knowing the efficacy of this thought system, knowing the utter power of true forgiveness, knowing that, my hope is you'll be that much more inclined to practice it. So when we experience fear, it's a sign of strain, mental strain. Quite clearly, that's what it is, because something in the system is not right. Most definitely, that's the case. And that's fairly easy to wrap our heads around. But as we're going through paragraph 5 here, let's delve deeper into this idea. The strain is produced between, it's a discord. It is. It's a discord where what you want and what you do don't match up. They're different. They're two different things. What you want and what you do, what you say you want and what you do, produces fear, produces internal conflict, because there is that discord. The two don't match. So Jesus points out a couple of different ways how this conflict can occur. And one of them is when we're doing two completely different things that don't match up in purpose, that produce struggle and strife in the mind. Now, we could be doing both of these things at the same time, or we could do them successively in linear time, one after another. And an example of this is, well, let's take our jobs. Many of us have in the world a job that we go to or we show up for if it's home-based, and we don't like it. It produces struggle and strain and conflict because what we want to be the hell rid of it and the boss and all of the rules and all of the dogma and maybe office politics that we have to put up with, all that horse shit. right? We've all had that experience in the working world, whether it's home-based or in an actual building. It doesn't matter. We'll use this as an example. Say you're in that situation, you want out, but you continue to show up to the same deal over and over and over again. A common enough scenario. What you want and what you do don't match. It produces strain. And the way Jesus puts it right here in paragraph 5 is really brilliant, because the part of you in this situation that wants to do something else is outraged. Ooh, yeah. And it's true, isn't it? It's outraged. The part of you that wants to quit your job and do something else is outraged that you continue to go to it and show up. And the part of you that shows up for your job and diligently does your work and puts up with all of the drama and all of the rules that no longer serve you, that part of your mind that's really, really focused and diligent and goes back again and again and again and again and again, is also outraged that you want to quit. So strain is introduced into the situation, and it can most definitely become intolerable, can't it? I think many of us have experienced just this scenario. And there's another way that this strain can be produced, and that's when you behave as you think you should, yet really you want to do something else. Oh, you do what your parents say for you to do. You enter into a career path that is somehow expected of you, maybe by your family, maybe by the degree path that you've chosen. It's just what people do, yet you want to do something else. You believe you should do this. You behave as you think you should. Or if someone comes over to your house for dinner that you don't like and is rude, you are polite to them when you don't want to be. That still produces strain. You behave the way you think you should, but you want to do something else. Both of these scenarios produce that kind of strain. And when we feel coerced, which we inevitably do in both of these situations, when we feel like something is foisted upon us from without, that creates rage. Rage, we're pissed. And from that, projection follows. We want to get rid of that rage. So who do we focus it on? Well, someone else. If you are in the first scenario and you have a job that you hate and you're pissed, you want to get that rage, that intolerable hatred, away from you. So we project it. You will project it, maybe onto your boss, maybe onto the world economic situation that requires you, so you think, to stay at that job to pay the bills. I mean, maybe that's the scenario. So you blame the economy, you blame the sitting president or prime minister. I mean, projection is projection. We do it in a lot of different ways. Well, what's going on is we can't handle that sickening sense of rage. So we project it psychologically. We hurl it outward at someone else so that they are the object of our rage. Now, if you're feeling coerced, it's very easy to project this rage and fear onto the person you feel is coercing you, or the situation. Could be your parents that are expecting a certain behavior. You could be actually your spouse or your partner that's expecting a certain behavior. And you project the rage and fear and hatred onto them. Right? Anytime we feel coerced when what we're doing and what we want to do don't match up, there's going to be projection. it's inevitable. It's inevitable. And that's the situation that we find ourselves in. So whenever we're in a fear-based situation, it's because we haven't made up our minds. We haven't made our mind up. Therefore, our mind is split. Just like that. It's split. Now, in this course, we read about and we study the idea of divisions of the mind and split mind. Our mind appears split to us when what we want to do and what we're doing are out of accord. They're separate, they're different. We tell ourselves, maybe we tell other people that we want something, yet we do the exact opposite of that. Our mind is split. So the point that Jesus is making here is it's important for us to understand how this comes about, but it's more important to place our awareness on fixing it and actually doing it. So this is where fear comes from as a practical matter. And it's a split mind. So how do we bring our minds into accord? How do we bring what we think and what we do into accord? How do we do what we want to do? Well, correction at the behavioral level only goes so far. It only goes so far because that's replacing one illusion with another. You can replace one job with another. You can replace one romantic partner with another. You can replace one t-shirt with another. You can replace one automobile with another. You can replace one home with another. See where I'm going with this? Those are all illusions. It's all replacing one illusion with another and attempting to work on the screen rather than the projector. It's attempting to work on what we deem to be the outside world, exchanging one thing in the outside world for another, rather than working on what caused that in the first place. Our thoughts, mind caused it. We're invited in many ways, in so many ways, to do this course the way it's suggested that we do it, at the level of mind, working on the cause. It's a course in mind training. It's about changing your mind. So we can replace jobs. I mean, you can. It may seem like you can't, but of course, we all realize that we can. But that kind of correction is not going to get rid of the fear. It may temporarily make it look like it's gone, but it's not. Or it may lessen for a period of time until it returns again. And it's going to return as long as we don't work on the cause of it. This is what spiritual practice is working on the cause. That's what this course is for. So I'm reminded here of a lesson in the workbook for students. I want the peace of God. we're invited in practicing this course to want that and only that. How do we go about that? Well, we get in touch with our inner teacher, your guide, your guides, your inner teacher, and ask them to direct our forgiveness. Here in this course, it's about true forgiveness, the kind that undoes the ego, that doesn't make what our brother does here in the world real. It overlooks it and overlooks the person himself or herself and beyond to who they really are, the Son of God, not a compound body of flesh and bone going to town and behaving badly. We're invited to get in touch with our inner teacher and to forgive. Forgive. Not for what our brother did to us in a supposedly concrete reality, which is not reality at all. We look beyond that to what's really going on, what really happened. Nothing. The separation never occurred. Ideas leave not their source. None of us has ever left our source. To do so is impossible. And yet here in the world where we think that's exactly what we've done, we need practices like true forgiveness. We need to accept atonement for ourselves. And when we get in touch with our inner teacher and begin to put these ideas into practice, our experience changes. If you've been doing this for a while, then you will know what I mean. You're not the same person today that started out on this material so many years ago, or weeks ago, or months ago, or even if you've not yet begun. Think of the spiritual practice and work that you've done in your lifetime to this point. Where were you when you began it? What were you like? What were your thoughts like? What was your life like? And where are you now? Are you able to take a look and see that as a result of your practice, you're more loving, you're more patient, you're more of a kind person, more forgiving, not as stressed? You know, maybe you take a look and you're not able to see that, and that's okay too. There's a reason why you're watching this. This course is powerful. So if it's something that you're entertaining, naturally, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's been the centerpiece of my own spiritual practice for nearly 10 years. All I can say is, in my own experience, I'm definitely not the same person I was in 2013 when I bought this book at Powell's Books in Portland, Oregon, and started to go through the workbook. Parts of it I recognized immediately, resonated, made sense. Maybe you've had that experience. Other parts I thought, what the hell is this even saying? I don't get it, but I'm going to keep reading it anyway, and I'm going to do what it says to do. So again, I come back to something I've mentioned earlier. If these ideas seem weird, that's all right. They're supposed to seem weird, maybe. I mean, if you get every single one of them the first time through, I'd actually like you to send me a message so we can discuss and I can interview you for this series. That doesn't happen for most of us because we're so invested in the way we've always done things, which is the way of the ego, the thought system of the ego, that when we see these purely non-dualistic traditions like A Course in Miracles, and when we're presented with some of these ideas, we think, what? No way. That can't possibly be. Or we are confused by the language or the concept and think, well, what is this? But if that's the case, that's all right. This course aims to change our perception completely, 180 degrees. Do the course and do it again and again. And when you commit to it, there is a process, a shift, a change that takes place by design, And so you have to commit to it. And you may find that if you go through this material once and you commit to doing it, the next time you go through, you understand more of it. It's our experience that really teaches us, isn't it? It's one thing to understand this material intellectually, another thing completely to gain the experience of it. That is what shows us and proves to us that what Jesus is saying here is true. We have to do it. Spirituality is all about experience. It's not just about collecting books and reading them. It's not just about that. Sure, that has some importance, but it pales in comparison to the experience of actually doing it. We can't get away from that and expect enlightenment. That's not the way it works. We're responsible for it. It's an adult endeavor, as I continue to say. So we're wise to treat it as such. And at some point, you'll reach a point where you'll be glad you did. Yeah, you'll be glad you did. The subscription button is right down here. Thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed. I'd love to have you, and I welcome your comments and questions. This is designed to be a guide and a help to you. So I'm very, very happy that you are joining me. And I know that you'll have heard on this particular video, and all of them for that matter, exactly what you're meant to hear. My hope is that it inspires you to practice. All right. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me.